let's get to it. Round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rebecca. And really a huge thank you to all the people who organized this from the DC and Baltimore groups. I think this entire event went from concept to reality in like 36 hours, which is incredible. So thank you.
Very fast prototype.
Yes, it was very lean. That's true. And with such an incredibly engaged community, it makes doing a minimally viable event super easy. At least for me, I didn't have to do any work, so I really appreciate it.
And honestly, neither did I just showed up. I was walking out of my last meetup 2 days ago, and I was like, oh, this is great. And I get this email, do you want to interview Eric Ries? I was like, no. Well, yeah.
Wait, what?
F yeah. And so, but really, the folks at DC down here did most of the work. But let me just kind of do a tease on who you're going to introduce.
Okay.
Eric's in town because he was participating in the Presidential Innovation Fellows, and he got sworn in today, and I was streaming it from home. And they're doing really phenomenal things, and I thought, these people cannot be working for the government. The way they're moving, the way they're talking, and they're almost, they're hyperventilating about some of the awesome things that our government is doing. And in the days where it's very easy to put down the government and mock the government, they really do some great things, and the person that Eric's going to introduce is really been leading that charge.
Yeah, so this is the reason I'm in town. We did an event at the White House, and yeah, I was at the White House today,
How's the president doing?
Yeah, what up? Yeah, he wasn't there. He was supposed to be. But it was it was an honor to be there. And when I first started hearing about the idea of putting lean startup into practice in the government, I was a little bit skeptical, because I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like the federal government, the massive, unrelenting bureaucracy you hear about on TV every single day. But I've had the chance now to meet some of the actual innovators who work in government, who, if you met them and didn't know where they worked, you'd be like, oh yeah, an entrepreneur, a real honest-to-God entrepreneur. And I know this, every time we do this, in fact, from the event this morning, on people on Twitter, they're skeptics. It's always skeptics. They're like, come on, government, entrepreneur, is an oxymoron. But I really think that's not true. And the way that I have learned to convince people is not to try to engage in this intellectual argument, but to just simply have them meet the person you're about to meet, who is truly an entrepreneur, who has a background as a private sector entrepreneur, who's been brought into the federal government and has been leading the charge for this new kind of innovation based in lean startup principles. And we're just going to get him up here and have him actually answer that question of how do we know this is real, what's really going on, what has been accomplished, and you can judge for yourself. So my friend, United States Chief Technology Officer Todd Park. And himself,
Okay.
Give us an update.
All right. Hello. How are you all doing? Fantastic. I'm Todd Park. I'm the U.S. CTO. Actually, I spent most of my life as a private entrepreneur. When I was 24, I co-founded a company called Athena Health. Built the first web-based software for doctors' offices. Took it public 10 years later. Some of us early went public for $1 billion. It's worth $3 billion now. When you join the federal government, you have to divest like everything. So I don't own stock in anything anymore, but Athena Health continues to do well. Actually, stay married after it went public. I retired and started really trying to be a good husband. We had a baby. Moved to California from Boston. But sorry, stay retired. So I actually co-founded 2 more companies. One called Castlight Health, which the Wall Street Journal named the #1 venture-backed company in America. 2011, another company called HealthPoint Services that delivers affordable telehealth, drugs, diagnostics, clean water to rural villages in India. You'll notice that actually there's not a single line in that description that includes work for the government, which caused me to be deeply surprised when in summer 2009, I got an email from the Department of Health and Human Services of the United States federal government. And I'd actually been advising on a volunteer basis a think tank on health IT and health issues. Which is how they heard about me, and the email was, would you consider being the Chief Technology Officer of HHS? And I was interested in helping them find the right person for this job, because I was sure I was not the right person. So I flew to DC and sat down and talked with Deputy Secretary Bill Corp. And I said, look, why are you talking to me? I don't know anything about government. And Bill said, that is exactly why we are talking to you. Because we're establishing this new position of CTO. It's not what you think it is. It's not the dude who has to run all the IT at HHS. It's our first tech entrepreneur in residence. At which point I said, excuse me? He said, yeah, you're going to be an internal change agent. Your only job is to work with the best innovators inside and outside government to mobilize projects, mobilize initiatives that work at super rapid speed to harness the power of data and tech to improve the health of the country. And I was really got taken aback, and when we dug into it, and actually subsequently talked to the Secretary of Space, a bunch of other people, and they were really serious. And so I went back to talk to my wife about it, and she was incredibly angry about the idea. Incredibly angry, but 4 days later she said, you know what, if they're really creating a tech entrepreneur in residence job at HHS, it is your national duty to do that job. And I said, well, I'm not going to go to DC without you and the baby. She said, I'll go back to the East Coast and be there with you and lose you to workaholicdom again because you have to do this. So because of her, I actually went to HHS. And and they were right. They actually created the ability for me to be basically the same guy, but just doing what I do inside government. And so I came up with a series of ideas and actually harvested ideas from other people, mobilized teams of basically 5 folks, generally speaking, on each idea, and ran each of these projects. This thing was an incubator for projects inside the government in Lean Startup Mode. And I'll always remember when I actually first met Eric at South by with Tim O'Reilly, right? Yeah. And I had this amazing out-of-body experience because he was describing the Lean Startup principles, and I felt like someone had x-rayed my body and actually told me all the things I learned the hard way. If I just met you earlier, I wouldn't have broken every single bone in my body. But it was the most incredibly articulate and powerful encapsulation, the most teachable encapsulation of startup, of this philosophy, this system for maximizing probability of success, of change, right? Of disruptive change in environments of high uncertainty I'd never heard before. And so I started using Lean Startup as a way of teaching folks in government how to actually do change, how to actually make a change initiative happen, right? And here's the thing. It's worked. It's worked. Every single project I've launched out of my incubator has been successful. To the point where, like, Bill Corkin, the executive, said, there's this perception, right, that you and your teams, right, make impossible things happen at incredible speed with no resources. Is that just a series of freak accidents, or is that truly replicable? And I said it's 100% replicable. And just so you get a sense of what kinds of projects we're talking about, we built healthcare.gov, a website that helps you find all available insurance options, public and private, across the United States, built in 90 days, deployed. It was a huge hit. And that may be an obvious place to put Lean Startup. We've also used it to re-engineer FDA approval processes for breakthrough medical devices. We've also used it, actually, to launch something called the Health Data Initiative, which is opening up massive amounts of health-related information from the vaults of HHS, quality of hospitals, information about drugs, insurance, et cetera, and having entrepreneurs turn it into literally hundreds, thousands of new products and services that are helping millions of Americans create jobs. So it's actually not just about Lean Startup to build a thing, like a website. It's also about building a new process. It's also about building a whole new program, right? And doing it within a fraction of the time and with a fraction of the money the government normally throws at stuff. And so, it's something that's really beginning to spread. And in March of this year, I was recruited by the president who's a really good recruiter, by the way, very hard to say no to actually join the White House as U.S. CTO. And the way they pitched it to me, basically, was just do what you're doing with HHS, but do it for the whole federal government. So that's what I'm doing.
You don't reset email passwords and that kind of
stuff?
stuff?
I can't, actually. I fixed a clicker problem this morning, actually, on stage. So, I didn't actually.
No matter how big you get, CTO always gets asked for help, tech support.
Absolutely. And actually, I think the most exciting thing that we're working on as US CTO, the thing I'm most thrilled to be part of, is this program we just launched this morning called the Presidential Innovation Fellows Program. How many folks have heard about this? Oh, wow. Holy cow. So I'll just mention it then. I'll describe kind of at a general level.
Are any fellows in here?
Our fellows here? Oh, okay. So they've had a big day. Yeah. We're going to go home and collapse.
We had two from Baltimore, and Greg said he may swing by. But
oh, cool. Oh, awesome. Okay. Awesome. So basically, the point of the Presidential Innovation Fellows Program is to bring in amazing entrepreneurs and innovators from outside government to work with the best innovators inside government in Lean Startup teams. In a nutshell, Lean Startup teams actually sprint for 6 months to do big things for the American people, to help build capabilities, roll out actually new capabilities that can help grow the economy, create jobs, and help deliver tangible improvements in the lives of Americans.
And so what we actually did was, it's interesting because the Fellows Program itself was a lean startup. We actually went from 0 to announcing a Tech Rush Disrupt in 3 weeks. I wrote down to the president saying we should do this, the president said go, and 3 weeks later I was announcing a Tech Rush Disrupt. And what we did was, on May 23rd at Disrupt, was we said we are recruiting for amazing people to come assemble, like the Avengers in the federal government, and work with our best innovators to do amazing things to American people. And it was actually an inversion of the traditional fellows program, right? Most fellows programs recruit the people and then give them something to do. We did the opposite, because we actually knew that the best way to recruit the best people was to give them a problem that they started to obsess about, that they couldn't get out of their heads, they had to apply to actually fix this thing for America. And so we actually came up with 5 projects, all of which, again, perfect fit with Lean Startup. One is something called RFPEZ, and kind of in a nutshell, it's meant to fix the problem that the startups, they don't sell to the federal government, right? So every startup I know says, oh, are you kidding? I would never sell to the government. Like VCs actively tell their startups not to try to sell to the government because it's just too complicated, too much red tape, too much spam, right? That's a big problem. First of all, because it deprives startups of a $79 billion a year market from a tech standpoint, right? And even more importantly, it deprives the government of their solutions, right? We're 5 years behind the private sector use of tech because the best tech refuses to sell to the government because it made it too painful, right? So RPEZ is prototyping a new process and online platform to enable startups, tech startups, and the government to do business with each other much more easily. And they are, the team is awesome. And in true Lean Startup mode, they've been here 2 weeks, they're already actually out with MVP. They released the code and GitHub today, and they're rocking and rolling. It's amazing. Second project is called MyGov. The federal government runs 50,000 websites. Our web presence is organized like the government's organized, and so it's very complicated, completely incomprehensible, right, to the citizen. It's not organized by citizen needs, it's not customer-centric. So MyGov aims to change that, to rapidly prototype a single platform that can actually be used to deliver the right information and services for you, to you as a citizen, so that government organizes itself around you, as opposed to you trying to figure out how government is organized. So that has an incredible team as well. Third project is called Open Data Initiatives, and essentially this is all about liberating data, information from the vaults of the government, to spur entrepreneurship innovation. So much like the government actually made weather data available, made GPS available for free to everybody, which then spawned everything from the Weather Channel, the Foursquare, and everything in between, nav systems, precision crop farming. Government has a lot more resources like that that are sitting in our vaults that we're now making freely available, making them readable, and doing codathons, data polluters, meetups across the country to spread the word, to help an ecosystem of entrepreneurs pick up the data and turn it into all kinds of products and services and help you find the right doctor, pick the right college, keep your kids safe and know what products to call, et cetera, and creating jobs all at the same time. So that's actually a third one. Fourth one is actually called Blue Button for America, which aims to basically clone this very successful program that VA has been engaged in, where the VA actually, about a year and a half ago, along with Medicare and Department of Defense, installed a very simple capability to let veterans and others download a copy of their own health record. It was projected at the time that 25,000 veterans would ultimately use this capability. A million veterans, members of the military, and Medicare officials actually have, and most veterans and Medicare folks don't even know this exists yet, so it's unbelievable. And it's starting to be adopted by the private sector, hospitals, insurance companies, installing Blue Button to give people their own data. And so Blue Button for America will actually clone that across the country in all kinds of ways. And then the final is called the 20% Initiative. And kind of in a nutshell, this aims to move the last mile of a lot of international aid payments from cash to electronic. So in much of the developing world, the last mile of our foreign assistance travels in cash, right? So USAID or Department of Defense pays contractors electronic, right? But the contractor building roads in Afghanistan pays 100,000 Afghans in cash. The Afghan National Police, the police people get paid in cash. And this is a real problem because cash, very inefficient administratively, right? Lots of opportunities for waste, fraud, corruption, et cetera, right? It's not safe to carry large crates of cash around Helmand province in Afghanistan, right? So you got, but actually now, as we know, with mobile tech, smart cards, et cetera, to actually move that cash to electronic. And just to kind of illustrate the power of this, there's a recent pilot done in Helmand province in Afghanistan, where about 1,000 police got moved from cash payment to mobile payment. Interesting thing happened when actually this occurred. The police and the pilots started thanking the authorities for a 30% raise. And the person, I didn't give you a 30% raise, but there have been some, sticky fingers, as the cash travel to the police. And what makes this especially poignant is that when they're being paid their post-middle people cash salary, the Taliban were offering the police more money to switch sides. When they were being paid, the police, their actual budgeted salary that came directly to them via mobile phone, the Taliban couldn't match what the police were paying. So it's not just about bigger bang for taxpayer bucks. It's not just about financial inclusion. It's also about there being fewer Taliban and more police, which means more American men and women come home. So that's what 20% Initiative is all about. It's actually spreading that across actually our activity in the developed world. So these projects are awesome, right? Like I want to go work on all of them, like all of them, all the time. And so what happened is that at Disrupt, we actually announced it. We weren't really sure what was going to happen because the government, isn't, a traditional, presenter at Disrupt. People were kind of a little wondering why the hell are you here, right? Actually, the people who presented before us, I think, had a self-cooling beer can, which was much cooler than us. And we said, look, we're not like a school of self-cooling beer cans, but we're looking for amazing people to come work on these projects on behalf of our people. And we got this amazing response, like 600 people within the first 24 hours after Disrupt applied, registered to apply. Thousands of people ended up registering to apply. 700 got their applications in 3 weeks by the deadline. And there were people who were willing to do something completely nuts, right? Because we were asking them to drop everything, leave their job, leave their family, move to DC on a moment's notice, and work incredibly hard for the U.S. government for 6 months on tough challenges. But it turns out, you know what? Civic mindedness isn't dead, right? Love of country isn't dead. Desire to serve isn't dead. It is very much alive. It is very much alive, and there's no greater proof than folks who are willing to literally drop everything and make huge sacrifices to come serve their country. Thousands more, actually, volunteer to follow the projects online and actually help them in any way possible. And today, we debuted the 18 fellows, the toughest decision ever, I think, for us to narrow down 700 to 18 that went live today. What we did, actually, I don't know if you're familiar with Luxor. Eric turned us on to Luxor, which actually trains folks in the Lean Startup Toolkit. We actually put all the fellows through boot camp, where Janice was cracking her whip, Lean Startup Toolkits, and they were all talking MVP, metrics, sort of 2 hour, 2 week, 2 month deliverables. And again, one of the reasons why the fellows are great is they all found it incredibly intuitive, right? I mean, they've been doing Lean Startup, you don't know what to call it, but they all found the kit unbelievably focusing, and it sharpened their sense of how to execute this thing, filled in gaps, actually, in their own understanding about how to do this. And I think that Lean Startup formally applied in their work is going to significantly increase the probability of success, right? And what's so exciting to me about this is that I get excited, by companies going public for $1 billion. I get even more excited about more soldiers coming home, right? I get even more excited about the government actually taking $79 billion in IT and getting a much higher return on investment. I get really, really excited about hundreds of companies being formed to help Americans using data from the government, improving our lives in all kinds of ways and creating jobs. I get incredibly excited about the government starting to make sense to people, right? And about something like MyGov reconnecting government and the people in a universe where actually it's felt like people in government are increasingly disconnected, right? So Lean Startup doesn't just help you build companies that go public for $1 billion. Lean Startup can help us fundamentally change government for the better. Fundamentally change government to be ever more effective and efficient for the American people. And that just gets me fired up. Gets me unbelievably excited, And now, I mean, this is starting to clone itself across government. So HHS just launched an Innovation Fellows program, and guess what? They're going to be teaching their fellows Lean Startup. Guess who's going to coach their fellows? Eric Ries. And so more people are actually asking about this, right? And so there's kind of this critical, kind of important sort of step to take mentally, right? The government in and of itself, of course, is not a startup, right? It in and of itself isn't a startup, right? But change initiatives inside the government absolutely are. And Lean Startup works, not just in the private sector, but in any situation where you want to make a concrete change happen in a situation of extreme uncertainty, right? And so it is a perfect fit with so much of what government actually has to do. Because government has to change. And it is now actually changing thanks to Lean Startup. So in case you can't tell, I'm a huge fan. Huge fan. And one of the things actually I'd love to ask is for your help. So we have 18 fellows who actually come to town. But we also actually are engaging thousands of other folks in a network that's following actually each of the projects. So you can actually follow the 5 projects on Twitter. You can actually go to whitehouse.gov/innovationfellows to actually sign up.
What was that URL again, Tom?
Oh, whitehouse.gov/innovationfellows. You can actually sign up to follow the process via email and actually get the Twitter handles. But we're going to be very actively engaging the network and the public in general in the work. Any advice, any ideas, we're doing meetups, we'll be doing hangouts, we're publishing code to GitHub, and we just love your help in any way, shape, or form you can provide it. And since actually y'all are physically here, I think it'd be great to maybe organize a hangout of our fellows and y'all at some point, if that makes sense. Because I'd love
We're
to.
being drafted.
No, it's
Surprise.
But they love to meet everyone here.
Or they go up to Baltimore as well.
And we'll go to Baltimore. Absolutely, yeah,
No,
absolutely.
stay here.
So, we're both places. We're cool. So thank you for spending a few minutes hanging out with me. We are really eager to get your help. Please do check out the website.
What is it again?
That URL?
whitehouse.gov/innovationfellows. And hopefully we can do great things for the country together. So thanks for having me over. Thank you for inventing Lean Startup. And God bless Lean Startup and God bless Startup.
The very well, really very easy to simple element. Todd makes it a little bit harder. And you guys noticed he never sat down. So now you see what I saw on the street this morning. Like, these cannot be government folks, but in fact they are. Thank you very much, Todd.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Catch you
you.
later.
He's talking about a lot of interesting things.
Didn't I tell you?
But let's go back a little bit in